Have you ever felt irritable on a hot day, snapped at someone for no reason, found it impossible to focus on a simple task? We usually brush it off. It's just the heat, we say. But what if it's more than that? What if the rising temperatures of our planet aren't just an external threat, but an internal one? What if the defining challenge of our time, climate change, is fundamentally altering the very organ that makes us who we are? Today, we're exploring the terrifying new frontier of climate science, the era of the hot brain. And we'll uncover how a warming world is rewiring our minds in ways we're only just beginning to understand. Our brain is a masterpiece of biological engineering. It's also incredibly delicate. It operates best within a very narrow temperature range, typically between 36 and 38 degrees Celsius. Think about it. Just a couple of degrees of fever can make you feel delirious. That's because the brain is a powerhouse. Just by thinking, remembering, and reacting, it generates a significant amount of its own heat. Your body has a sophisticated cooling system, where blood flow acts like a liquid radiator, constantly carrying heat away from the brain to be dissipated through your skin. But when the outside world gets too hot, this system is pushed to its limits. When it fails, the entire neurological system begins to falter. As clinician scientist Sanjay Sisodia put it, it's like a clock where all the components are no longer working together properly. The gears of our consciousness start to grind. This isn't just a physical issue. The first thing to go is our mental state. Research has shown a direct link between hot weather and a cascade of negative psychological effects. It impairs our higher-order decision-making. Studies have found that on hotter days, people are more likely to engage in risky financial behavior and are less likely to think through complex problems. It also fuels aggression. The data is startling. Violent crime rates, domestic abuse incidents, and even horns honking in traffic all spike with the temperature. Scientists believe this is partly due to heat's effect on our neurotransmitters, particularly serotonin, which helps regulate mood and impulse control. When it's hot, our serotonin function can be disrupted, shortening our fuse. And then there's sleep. Hot, sleepless nights lead to a brain under chronic stress. This poor sleep, especially during prolonged heat waves, has been directly linked to worsening symptoms of anxiety, depression, mood swings, and even seizures. We are literally being robbed of the rest our brains need to function. To protect its delicate machinery, our brain has an elite defense system, the blood-brain barrier. Think of it as the most exclusive bouncer in the world, carefully controlling what gets in and out. But one of heat's most dangerous effects is that it can make this barrier more permeable. It makes the bouncer drowsy. This opens the door for toxins, bacteria, and viruses that are normally kept out to infiltrate our neural sanctuary. Now, combine that with another effect of climate change, the spread of disease. Mosquito-borne viruses like Zika, dengue, and chikungunya are no longer confined to the tropics. Their breeding seasons are longer, and their habitats are expanding. Many of these viruses have devastating neurological consequences, from developmental issues in newborns to severe brain inflammation. A weakened blood-brain barrier could make us even more vulnerable to these growing threats. While everyone is affected, some brains are far more at risk. The heat trap is especially dangerous for the most vulnerable among us. Take older adults, particularly those with dementia. Age already weakens the body's ability to regulate temperature. Add to that the cognitive decline of dementia, and you have a perfect storm. People may forget to hydrate, they may not recognize the signs of heat stroke, or they might close windows on a hot day, thinking they are securing their home. Tragically, hospitalizations and deaths among dementia patients spike dramatically during heat waves, and the risk starts before we are even born. Alarming research has now linked heat waves to a 26% increase in premature births. A premature birth interrupts critical stages of brain development, raising the risk of neurodevelopmental delays and cognitive impairments that can last a lifetime. With 130 million births a year, The implications for our future generations are staggering. The impact on our physical brain health is just as profound. We now know that rising heat is a direct risk factor for stroke. A major global study found that the hottest days are responsible for 2 additional deaths for every 1,000 ischemic strokes. That might sound small, but when you consider that there are 7 million stroke deaths annually, heat could be contributing to over 10,000 additional deaths every single year. And as global temperatures rise, so will this toll, especially in low and middle-income countries that have fewer resources for healthcare and public cooling infrastructure. It's a crisis that will disproportionately affect those who have contributed the least to climate change. The evidence is clear. Climate change isn't a distant, abstract threat to polar bears and ice caps. It's an intimate neurological one. It's in the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we interact with each other. It's influencing our health from our first days to our last, from making our brains more susceptible to disease, to impairing our judgment when we need it most, to disproportionately harming the most vulnerable. The era of the hot brain is here. And this raises a final, unsettling question. How can we solve a complex global crisis when the very organ we need to solve it with is under attack by the crisis itself? The first step is awareness. Understanding that the heat is doing more than just making us uncomfortable is critical. We need to demand that public health policies include mental and neurological health in their climate action plans. We need to check on our elderly neighbors during heat waves. We need to create cooler cities with more green spaces. The world is getting hotter. The question is no longer if it will change us, but how we will respond. Now that we know it's changing our minds,